glad to have you with us again tonight. You know I don't make many desserts, but my mother was here the other day and we were talking about videos, and she said, I bet people would like tea cakes on a video. And I said, okay, well great, give me your recipe. And she said, oh well, you put about this much of that and a dab of that and a little of that. So we spent a little bit of time trying to quantify it, and I'm going to do an experiment here because, you know, I don't eat sugar. So I bake with Splenda, the little bit of bacon I do. So we're going to see how this works. And if you've seen this video, that means it worked, because if it doesn't work, I'm not going to post it. So here we have 1 cup of softened butter. And this is 3/4 cup of Splenda. Use an equal amount of sugar if you prefer to use sugar. Okay, so we've got little pellets here of sugar and butter. And we're going to add a beaten egg. And a teaspoonful of vanilla. And you can use a mixer, you can do it by hand. Okay, so whether you use a mixer, a blender, a whisk, or whatever, you want to mix it until you get this nice creamy consistency. Here I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, a pinch of salt, maybe 1/8 of a teaspoonful, and a teaspoonful of baking soda, not baking powder. It might work with baking powder, but I don't know. So I suggest baking soda, or if you do it with baking powder and it works, let me know. Okay, I'm going to put about 1/8 of a teaspoonful of nutmeg. And you know, you can add cinnamon if you like. I'm not going to put any cinnamon in this time. You can also switch out and use almond flavoring instead of vanilla, or lemon flavoring instead of vanilla. Either one works. I remember from when my grandmother made these. Okay, I'm going to take our dry ingredients here. The flour, baking soda, and salt. And I'm going to introduce them slowly. And at some point I'm going to have to mix this with my hands because it's going to be a very stiff batter. We're at that point now. You see, this is very dry. I've been adding flour in 1/2 cup at a time. And you know, I guess you could probably do this in your food processor, but I'm making it the way Mother always made it. Okay, so when it gets to this stage, you'll notice I've added no liquid except 1 egg and about a teaspoonful of vanilla flavoring. So what we have here is very dry and crumbly. And so I want to, just like with a pie crust, add just enough water to make it stick together. And I've got very cold water here. And have flour fingerprints on the bowl. So we're going to add just enough water until this holds together like a pie crust. Work it a little till you can get it into a ball. Now I'm going to chill this for about 15 minutes and then we'll make our tea cakes. Here is our dough. It's all chilled. I have a baking sheet and I've put a little, actually I used a little bit of lard, used a little bit of butter. If I had a Silpat baking sheet, I wouldn't do this, or if I had some parchment, but I don't. Because I don't actually bake a lot. So I'm just going to lightly flour this, and then we're going to roll out our dough. And we want this to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. And I'm going to treat it just like pie crust, even though it's technically a cookie. Right? I have here a wide mouth canning lid. Okay, these are going into a 350 degree preheated oven for about 10 minutes. We don't want to overcook them, and I'll check it at probably about 8 minutes. Be right back. Well, here you go. This was 12 minutes. And they're dry on top, but still just a tiny bit springy. We'll let these cool for 10 minutes. And see if they're like Mama and Grandma made. Well, there you go. Old-fashioned Southern tea cakes. When I was a kid, when I came home from school, my mother or my grandmother, either one would have these. And maybe some jam. And maybe some peanut butter and a cold glass of milk. And in the wintertime, maybe a hot cup of cocoa or hot tea. We always had hot tea. Really good. Almost a biscuit-like consistency. Not overly sweet, and pretty darn yummy. I do think next time I'll add just a tad more water so that I can make them just a little bit flatter. But other than that, I think this was a successful experiment. I'm going to save one for my mom and see what she thinks. Thanks for joining us on Debbie's Back Porch. So glad to have you with us again tonight.